you could accept the fact that this city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportions.
What do you mean, biblical?
What he means is Old Testament, Mr.
Yes.
Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff.
Exactly.
Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
We've even seen a referee 2 feet from the play on the sideline staring at the guy trying to catch the ball, staring at where his feet are, and still calls him out.
Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk from two men in the know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
Drew Brees is a Hall of Famer, absolutely, and showing that he could possibly be the GOAT.
All right, but I gotta say something about the New England Patriots here. The Patriots kept coming out and saying, before the Super Bowl even happened, they kept saying, oh, well, everybody's against us. Bullshit.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome once again now to another season, year 3 of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know. We are back. I'm telling you, we are back. It's been a long time coming,
yeah.
but we are back, everybody.
Oh, yeah, who knows if
Let's
it was
talk
ever
some
going to start
football.
it, man. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's crazy to get back in the studio again, dusting everything off. It's funny. It's like when I got back down in here, you know, I looked at everything, and I was like, wow, did we have a massive party last time we were here? You know, just things all thrown over. It's still exactly the same way it was last time when we were here, and we had an intense time. The Super Bowl, Patriots do it again. You know, Tom Brady flashed in his rings. Now Rob Gronkowski retires. I mean, it's been crazy now. Updates going on, news. I've been itching to try and talk about football, Joe. We've been trying to get this back together for a while. We've been working on some other things on the side, and now we get to do it. We get to let it all out now.
I mean,
finally,
there's been
buddy.
a lot of pent-up emotion for me. I mean, I've been dying to talk football. I mean, my friends of mine are just kind of tired of hearing me just chatter. I'll just keep going on and on. You know that better than anybody.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to get into this thing because we've missed a lot of big-time news. You know, we missed the whole Antonio Brown trade that happened. We missed a lot of things that in the past that, you know, we never really got a chance to touch on. But Antonio Brown, he ends up getting traded from the Pittsburgh Steelers for a 3rd and 5th round pick over to the Oakland Raiders. Again, I mean, I don't know. He just fought, you know, clawed his way out of there. He wanted out of there so bad it didn't matter. He just kept complaining about Big Ben. He just kept complaining about the head coach. Said he doesn't have control of the locker room, doesn't have control of the team. You know, what's going on here? Pointing fingers at Juju Smith-Schuster recently. Why can't he just get past it all now? Now he's already been officially traded. He's gone to the Raiders. That's your new home now. Just stop talking about it. So why do you keep poking the bear over in Pittsburgh? You know, I don't understand that part of it. But yeah, I mean, the trade. What do you think about the compensation there? A 3rd and a 5th round pick for yes, he is 31 years old. He's getting towards the end of his career, but is still to this day one of the elite receivers in this league.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, I was looking at first, Mike, what was going on, I think, offseason with the Raiders at first for me was like, I'm seeing ghosts of Al Davis here, it kind of seemed like. I'm like, are they going now to reach for that aging wide receiver that is still a Hall of Famer, you know, like they've done before with like Jerry Rice out of his prime and, you know, Randy Moss a little bit, not exactly out of his prime, but later on. Were they going to go be doing something like that? So I wasn't sure. And the bad mouthing that he was just doing, I thought, you know, it's some other people also probably that he was trying to do it so the Pittsburgh Steelers wouldn't get much value. You know what I mean? But the fact that he's still talking afterwards, it just blows my mind. Like, maybe this guy legit is crazy or nuts, or he has that big chip of his shoulder that he's just, it's poisoned him. Now he's going nuts. Well, but as far as value altogether, I think it was a good move now. You know, I'm looking at the Raiders. It's a good move for them, and it gives somebody that Derek Carr can trust now. I think some of the other guys, when he had Amari Cooper, and even back when Crabtree was there, even too many of the guys had the dropsies, and I think he just needed somebody to rely on. And now Antonio Brown, I think, has found his right quarterback where he's going to get him the ball.
Oh,
so
he's in
I
love
like
with-
the move. I like it.
It's funny. He's in love with Derek Carr so much that as soon as he got traded and visited the headquarters and all that, he popped over to Derek Carr's house and said, "Hey, Carr, how you doing?" They started practicing like right away after he got traded. It was pretty a unique situation for him. He was all excited to be there, but still, he's still a diva. And that title's never going to go away from Antonio Brown. He's still going to be that type of diva receiver because of things like this that are happening right now. He feels the need to just keep on with the social media attacks that he's making about Big Ben, about Mike Tomlin, and now Juju Smith-Schuster. And if I'm Antonio, what do you care? What do you care about what they're saying, what they're doing over there in Pittsburgh? Just turn the page, brother. Move on. Now you're with a new team. Concentrate on that. That's the only thing that bothers me about Antonio Brown right this second. It could develop into something else, but right now, let's just see what happens.
Yeah, that's all you're hoping now is that he's just when the season starts
When
up.
the season starts, maybe
it's going to quiet
hopefully.
down a little
Yeah.
bit, and I think things are rounding out pretty good for that. But yeah, what an intense moment. What about talk about trades and blockbuster trades? I talked about this last year, and we even have a video up on YouTube about it, about potentially trading Odell Beckham Jr. and try and get some value for him. And people thought I was nuts, and they wanted to
People were
be a
pissed
witch
at
hunt,
you.
and
They
hunt
were
me
pissed.
down. But now, you know what? It really happened. It really happened. They came through. It wasn't a crazy notion, and people are hating on now the Giants and David Gettleman. Now it's pointing directly at him to where I think he came out and had to,
Address it.
and say, oh, yeah, this is my actions. This is why I did it, and this and that. And I kind of like the move. Again, I mean, because I've always stood by it. It's like how many teams really won the Super Bowl with the elite wide receiver? I mean, they've had some good ones, yes, and some have won the Super Bowl with one, but that was all we basically had. And I think we needed to use his value while we still have it and get something else for it. Now we have 2 first-round picks, the New York Giants, because I'm a Giants fan, but the Giants now have the 6th overall and the 17th overall. That's exciting right there. So what do you think about the Odell Beckham? Do you think they got enough back? I like Jabril Peppers even coming in back in there. I think it was great.
Here's the thing about that trade. I'm kind of in the middle. I don't think it's heavily favoring the Browns. I don't think it's heavily favoring the Giants. I think a lot of Giants fans, when it initially happened, they're irate. They're just flat out irate. I was worried about riots running down the streets and everything. I didn't know what was going to happen. But if you really think about the trade as a whole, I mean, think about it. Odell Beckham Jr., no doubt in my mind, he's a top 5 receiver all day long in this league. He's one of those premier talents at that position that you need for your quarterback, the go-to guy, the guy that can make all the difference in the world, play by play. He's that special of a receiver. However, one player does not make your team win games, and that's what I think a lot of fans out there struggle with. I understand he's a premier talent at that position. However, look at what you got in return. Now, this short term, it looks bad. We gave up our, one of the best receivers in the league. How are we going to, come back from this? Long term, this could work out very favorably for the Giants. This could work out even better than keeping Odell. Because now that you've unloaded that huge contract that he just signed, it frees up a lot of cap room, not this year, potentially next year, depending on the structure of the deal, that you're getting a first-round pick, you're getting a third-round pick as well in this trade. And on top of that, Jabril Peppers, like you just mentioned, Jabril Peppers is a young stud safety from the Cleveland Browns, which it was a decent package. Some people believe that it wasn't enough for Odell, but I think it's kind of fair because you also got to remember, if you're a team trading for Odell Beckham, you're not getting just the player. You're getting a lot of the baggage that's coming with him as well. You don't know how he's going to react in Cleveland. You don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty with him. Is he going to check himself, grow up, and be the model guy that you're hoping that he's going to be in Cleveland? Or is he going to continue being the adolescent 5-year-old like he was with the Giants? So they're taking a little bit of a risk in the off-field department with him. So you're not going to get premier, buku, blockbuster type of trade, but I think they got fair value for what they traded away. You know, a first and a third, like you were saying. Jabril Peppers, a lot of people that don't know him, he's super young, and he's going to be a dynamite safety for the Giants for the long haul. He's not only coming to the Giants, but he's also replacing a hole that the Giants had recently. Landon Collins, they could not agree on a deal to keep him in New York. He ends up going to free agency, leaves, and moves on. This fills in a hole, and they get some extra draft picks for this season. And with those extra draft picks, if they hit the nail on the head with both of them, this could turn out very good for the New York Giants.
Yeah, that's what my main thing was. I was wanting to get value. I wanted to get a lot of better players together and just improve the team altogether, use him to improve the team. And you want to talk about gambles that they have, too. He hasn't been the healthiest guy since we've had him either.
Right.
Remember, he had, I think it was a hamstring issue initially when we first drafted him, you know, and then he started late, and then he took over the scene, you know, blew up and with one-handed catches all over and became the icon that he is. But then again, had an injury last year and stuff. But then you remember, like you said, attitude as well, the fights that he's had, you know, get suspended for that huge hit, you know, on Josh Norman, you know, and who knows? So now that's
I kind of
gone.
like the Josh Norman.
Now he's
Odell
gone.
thing.
Eli Apple's gone, and then the Giants have also unloaded a bunch of other money, and so it's an exciting time, and it's really interesting. This draft coming up is going to be one of the most exciting. It
is.
Again,
We say that every
we say
year.
it every year. I know, but I mean, again, with the quarterbacks
It
that are
is.
coming out, personally, everybody's like, you know, this is going to be a weak class, you know, out of everything, and then Kyler Murray jumps in the mix, and now it's going nuts.
It's hard.
So-
It's hard not to get excited every single year for the draft. But another thing that the Giants did really well that I want to bring up is they also traded for a All-Pro guard in Kevin Zeitler. They traded away Olivier Vernon, who wasn't playing well in that new scheme that they had, which we initially thought, you know, going back to last season, we thought that could be a problem for Olivier Vernon. We thought he might struggle with that 3-4 scheme. And come full circle, they ended up pulling off a trade. They traded Olivier Vernon to the Cleveland Browns as well. And for the Browns, that's another good trade.
Yep.
The Giants get an all-pro guard now at the right side. You know, you look at them drafting Will Hernandez last year, getting this trade for Kevin Zeitler at the right guard spot. John Halapio, who was the starter last year, got injured. He'll be returning healthy at his rightful place at starting center. Now you got to wonder, could they make one more move to really strengthen this offensive line? It could be the draft.
Yeah, and I started thinking about it, too. I wore my shirt tonight, Joe, too, because I
did.
don't know if I can even wear this shirt so much.
Yeah.
The Eli and Odell, and we have
Yeah,
our
look at
little
this.
trinket here.
Yeah.
I'm just still going to keep the bobblehead here because it's still it's
know what?
memories, and
I
this
think-
was a gift from our
I
know-it-alls.
think we should just
We
get,
could put-
you know, like
wanna just
Sterling Shepard or
wanna remove
something
them, put
made.
Sterling
We'll
Shepard
put
in there.
Sterling
Get
Shepard up
put
there.
Sterling Shepard's
Or
number on
Golden
there
Tate.
or something.
Golden
I'm not
Tate.
Sure. There you go.
Put
Put
Golden Tate.
Golden Tate there. Yeah, I don't know, but that was a great gift from people, and yeah, I don't. So now that's over. That's what I mean. It was time of our lives, and now that's all over. And then also one other things that's hitting the news as of late is the tension between Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, all of a sudden, Mike McCarthy doesn't even get a job. People are wondering why the Jets didn't hire him. And now he comes out in an interview with Bleacher Report and basically just defends himself and says, "Oh, it's Aaron Rodgers' fault.
It's
You know,
all
he
his
butted
fault.
and he was changing my plays and this, and he's tough to work with." And now Aaron Rodgers bites back and says, "This is all lies. You know, we had our issues here and there, but we pretty much worked it out, and that's
Yeah.
our relationship was. And we grew stronger." This kind of seems like a smear attack, and you know. And what's funny how when that happens, people come out of the woodwork and then they start hating.
Yeah.
We talked to a Packers fan this past weekend, and they were jumping onto the boat of like, yeah, Aaron Rodgers is no
done.
good.
I'm
We're
done
done
with
with him.
Aaron.
Are you
Can't take
kidding
it.
me? You're that quick to just do that
Yeah.
over something you hear the first time without hear both sides?
Listen,
I mean,
you would not be anywhere without Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
You know, the quarterback is one of the most important positions, and I'm not justifying the rumors circulating like, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers is dictating who's getting hired there in Green Bay and who stays and who goes, and I don't think it's to that extreme, everybody. You know, this organization, the Green Bay Packers, has been such a, you know, just a dynamite organization. They've done everything the right way. They are cool, calm, and collected. They make precise moves. They don't ever, stumble. They don't get nervous. They don't shake. They just keep moving on. They're one of the better run organizations in this league. And until we see evidence otherwise, I mean, this whole thing with Mike McCarthy, I think, is way overblown. Mike McCarthy is obviously upset because he got fired. He's obviously upset that he didn't get one of the jobs that he really wanted. We all know that Mike McCarthy really wanted that Jets job and didn't. He came up short, but it is what it is. Let's move on. Mike McCarthy, I'm sorry, but I was never a fan of Mike McCarthy, and I thought that he passed way too much. Now, I don't know if that was because he had Aaron Rodgers. He had a future Hall of Fame type of quarterback at his disposal, or if it was just his offense. He just likes to throw a lot no matter what. I think this Packers team going forward could be better. I'm not crazy about their head coach hire. I think he's a guy that does not have a ton in the resume department to going forward. I don't think he has enough to fall back on in terms of experience. I think he's really new. Who knows? Maybe he could work out. But I think this offense is in much need of a balanced type of offense. They have 2 stud running backs that they never really hardly used. And Aaron Jones returning healthy last year, I thought they were going to run a lot more. And they didn't run as much as I thought they were going to. So I think it might develop into a nice relationship depending on how they run this offense for.
Yeah, I mean, that's the intriguing thing for me, too, is how Matt LaFleur, they want to say this is a different type of, offensive guy here that's going to come in and implement that, and it should shake things up and make it, interesting for him. But that's also, to me, the guy who couldn't get Marcus Mariota to be an exact pocket passer, couldn't improve his touchdown to interception ratio, and also was holding out Derrick Henry out of the backfield and only running him into wildcat for some reason.
And the problem
I just wasn't understanding why all of a sudden now he's a great hire for a head coach.
Right, and the problem with that thing is he wasn't holding him out. He was on the field. He just wasn't running the ball.
Just wasn't running the ball. Yeah.
So I mean, that's got to be a little concerning. Yeah. I mean, if you're LaFleur coming in and you have running backs that can run the ball, you have a decent offensive line. Yes, they're going through a little bit of a musical chairs right now. They need to add maybe another talented offensive lineman, but just saying. I mean, if you're coming into that team, yes, you have a really good quarterback. You have a lot of younger weapons there, but you need to utilize these running backs. You need to make it easier on Aaron Rodgers. It can't just be on his shoulders solely, and you think you're going to ride his shoulders to the promised land all the time. So that has yet to be seen, and I can't wait to see what happens. There's a lot of changes in this league already with coaching hires. You look at the Dolphins with Brian Flores coming from the New England Patriots. And you look at Mike Vrabel, who took over the Tennessee Titans. You see a lot of influences on all these descendants of Bill Belichick taking over these head coaching jobs, just waiting for the next Patriot to be released or cut, and then they bring them right to their teams. So,
right. And you want to talk about that? You're talking about free agency. Yeah. I mean, the Detroit Lions, they go and get Trey Flowers and Danny Amendola, things like that. Expatriates again, and we found that team. Plus, I think the Titans end up doing it too. Every team that was, a former Patriots coach were able to beat the Patriots last year. So it's amazing. Maybe they've got what works. And now the Patriots again. We found out, I think it was today, about picking up Austin Seferian-Jenkins. And, I mean, that was a sneaky move. Like, I was even thinking, I'm like, wow, he was still out there again?
That's
I totally
a great
forgot. It was under the radar just
move. It
boom.
really is.
I'm like, the Patriots do it again. I'm like, how is this guy still sitting there? And
I
they're
don't
like,
know.
well, we won't take him. We're going to land right in there and just take him on board. And I like it.
I can't believe it. I'm absolutely shocked that he was a free agent still. I thought he was signed somewhere.
Yep.
I could not believe it when they were like, oh, Austin Seferian-Jenkins signed with the Patriots today. I'm like,
wow.
What?
Yeah.
How is he there? There was a lot of teams that need tight ends. I don't understand. Where's the Cardinals?
Yeah.
Why didn't they scoop him up?
Yeah.
Because they haven't needed tight end. There's a lot of teams that needed it. The Cowboys, they brought Jason Witten back.
Jason
They needed
Witten
it so
started
bad.
getting also, I don't get that. Yeah, what is that?
Jason Witten comes back unretired. You want to know why? He's sick of everybody picking on his hair.
I called it out, and I had the proof. If you look back at our old videos, man, we'll repost
That's
it.
We called him out on it,
called him out.
and he must have heard about it. And he's like, you know what? I can't take this
There you
anymore.
go. There you go. He's
Go
taking the
back.
criticism, so he goes and goes back. And now they're a Super Bowl contender. So we'll see. All right. Well, we're on Facebook Live here tonight. We wanted to get started up with our YouTube tonight, but again, technical issues here and there and stuff. It happens, but we are going to post our videos straight from here to YouTube. So that we can still get out stuff out there. You can subscribe to YouTube, just Football on the Know, w/Jim and Joe. We will keep content rolling there and keep it going until we can finally get our streaming up on there. It's just we need to make some upgrades still here at the studio that we didn't know exactly that we needed. But we're going to do everything we can, make it a great experience for you guys. And we did a couple tests today. It failed a little bit, but the test showed that the quality is ridiculous too. I mean, the quality is going to be great, the video, the audio. So we're excited, and we're going to keep moving content there. And you can also follow us on Twitter. Twitter, we've been active, even though we haven't been on Facebook and doing our live shows. Very active on our group here that you're watching us now, Football on the Know Show, and Twitter, FB_Know. And we're trying to get into every type of little social media here to keep people involved and to peel back the layers. Everybody get to see us a little more and what we're all about.
That's right. And you know what? I don't know what to add to that. So I want to talk some more football.
So, all right. So we were talking about free agents here. So then Joe and I decided for our segment tonight, we wanted to go look at the top 5 teams with the best offseason moves. All right. So it was a lot of stuff moving on. You're saying like rosters changed so drastically this
Big
year.
time.
I think we've seen teams or players that I thought maybe were going to retire with their teams
Or resign.
That that's what I mean, like re-sign, and that's their sole team they're going to stay with.
Yeah.
Terrell Suggs, Clay Matthews is gone. I mean, whoever thought that would even kind of happen? I thought they were just the way the Packers were going on their defense. I'm like, they're keeping the same defense together here. I'm like, aren't they going to change here a little bit? What are they doing? Like Clay Matthews
With
just ain't all
time,
there.
there's change.
And he moves on, and he's got a
Yeah.
new home. So I mean, it's interesting the shakes, movers and shakers
The
that's going on here.
craziest thing about this offseason, more than any other in the recent past, is that there was a lot of big names changing teams. You know, C.J. Mosley goes to the Jets. Le'Veon Bell finds a home with the Jets. You know,
After sitting out
it
and
was
everything.
just guys all. D. Ford gets traded to the 49ers. You know, there was a lot of trades too. You know, we just talked about Odell. He going to the Browns. Jabril Peppers goes to the Giants. There was so much going on all at once and then Justin Houston. You know, there's a guy that I thought was a lifer with Kansas City. I thought he still had something to give them, but they move on from him. They cut him. He finds a home with the Colts now. So there was a lot of moves, a lot of trades going on, a lot of signings that we were surprised about. Teams, players moving on to complete different divisions, different conferences, and calling it home. So let's get right into our top 5.
All right. So when we decided to make this list, we kind of nitpick here and there and kind of figure out what is the defining, decision for all this and how they are the top 5, because we've come up with top 25, active quarterbacks, and
We
people
did.
are like, he is not the best.
People
He's not
hated
this.
us.
I'm like, we're right now active. We're not saying greatest of all time, and just relax, So I feel I have to come up with the rules right here and just tell you. All right, when we came up with this, we were talking about the moves they made, exact trades, and the people they add and the way they have done it to improve their team, not exactly how, now that they made the moves, their team is going to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what you got to kind of just watch out for that.
Yeah, it's not about like the biggest moves. It's about what they've done as a body of work in the offseason to this point and how it's going to impact their team going forward.
All right. So, the first team, in our top 5, we're going to go 5-1. All right.
Let's do
Number
it.
5 here is the New Orleans Saints. All right, not a big move here, but they do re-sign Teddy Bridgewater again, so that's a real insurance just in case,
Definitely.
God forbid something happens with Drew Brees and stuff. But he has shown Teddy Bridgewater that he can still play, and I think there might even be a little bit of a people wanted to try and grab him. So I think they wanted to just make sure they locked
The
him up
Miami
here.
Dolphins had him in for a visit and verbally agreed on a contract. A lot of people thought it was a done deal. Even me, myself, I thought Teddy Bridgewater, I'm like, oh, he's going to the Miami Dolphins. Look at that. They agreed on a contract verbally and everything, and he's just got to sign the dotted line. And after that whole report came out and everything, next thing you know, he's on a flight back to New Orleans and ends up signing a deal back with New Orleans. So as crazy as free agency has been, it's that crazy where just when you think a guy is going somewhere, he ends up turning right around and hightailing it back to New Orleans, much like Anthony Barr.
There you go.
He was supposed to be a Jet.
Yeah.
Was agreed on a deal. Everybody's like, oh, my God, they got Anthony Barr too? He had a slight case of, doubts. And then he ended up just going right back to Minnesota. So Teddy Bridgewater he just pulled an Anthony Barr.
He just pulled an Anthony Barr. All right, so again, now they signed Malcolm Brown, the D tackle, to a 3-year deal, $15 million, and Jared Cook they bring in for a tight end. So I mean,
great. That's a great signing. I can't say enough. He was a Raider last year, and I mean, it's kind of embarrassing, but he had the most receiving yards on our team.
Yeah.
He was the go-to guy for the Oakland Raiders. And Malcolm Brown, what can you say about him? He was a starting D tackle for the New England Patriots, and he's still somewhat young. He's still playing in his prime. I think he's going to benefit greatly going to New Orleans.
All right, Joe, I just want to interrupt this real quick. Even though we're talking about the New Orleans Saints, we have a Mike Tackett signing.
Mike Tackett's back in the house, everybody.
Mike Tackett is back here with us.
Welcome back, Mike. It's been way too long, my friend.
Oh, yeah. All right, here he goes. It feels great to see you guys back. Yes, I got to get something off his chest. He goes, I'm disappointed about how the AAF ended, but life goes on. Yes, I know. Of course, because I think your Orlando Apollos were on point to just take the championship.
They were.
So that is upsetting. And Mike has been on top of this ever since the AAF was going to come about here. And it is tough that it didn't happen, and it broke down so quickly. But here you go. We still have the XFL to look forward to come in February. And with the NFL CBA expiring the same year as the XFL is set to start, we may see some USFL-like big-time signings. I've got a lot to talk to you guys about, but I'll start with the whole DeMarcus Lawrence torn labrum issue.
Yeah.
All right. He goes, I wonder if here we go. All right, well, let's talk about DeMarcus Lawrence then, I guess. All right, here we go. I wonder if the organization was aware of how severe his labrum was before he signed that huge extension. You'd think they would have that intel and that the medical personnel, as well as management, did their due diligence. Either way, Lawrence got paid. I think that just puts more pressure on the Garrett to win now, even if Jerry is calling the shots in Dallas. Yes, and we were following him closely during the whole we looked at all the franchise tags, and DeMarcus Lawrence was one of those guys that's on that line. He just needed to stay healthy, because when he's healthy, he is one of the most elite DNs there, in pass rusher.
Oh, he's amazing.
He couldn't stay on the field. And when you put him and another guy that was in the same kind of market, Ziggy Ansah, not as much production, but injury prone. You saw how both played this year. DeMarcus Lawrence was like lights out. Ansah not so much, and getting injury bug. And he deserves to get his money. But, that's their gamble they take. What are you going to do with that injury? It could be make or break. But they were possibly going to lose him to somebody else too, so you never know.
Oh, they were absolutely definitely going to lose him.
So, I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
If they could not work out a deal, somebody would, and you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if the Cleveland Browns pulled off another trade and got DeMarcus Lawrence, because that's how John Dorsey's been running it. He's been like the Don, the mafia guy in the back, in the back part of the room with the sunlight draped over him. I mean, he's just been like amazing with pulling off trades and signing players. But with this team, the Cowboys, here's the concerning part: is they only were coming in with $47 million under the cap, and Jerry Jones and company want to re-sign Ezekiel Ansah or
Zeke Elliott.
Yeah, Zeke Elliott. They want to re-sign Dak Prescott. They're still under contract, but they want to give him new deals to keep him there long term.
Yeah.
And on top of that, guess who else is due for a new contract? Is Amari Cooper, who they just traded for and gave up a first-round pick. You got to wonder, is there going to be enough money around to make all those contracts happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you talk about Dak Prescott. You just paid DeMarcus Lawrence quarterback money, and now you're going to try to pay a second guy quarterback money. And then what's going to happen with Zeke? Is there going to be enough money around after that? Amari Cooper? Who knows? Maybe they might not be able to afford him. So they potentially they could lose 2 players out of the 4 that they're trying to keep together.
Yeah, so I mean that is something to look at there. That's what we always thought when they went and signed DeMarcus Lawrence. Now your window is like this. Now what are you going to do? That leaves it very tight for the other guys. And if a couple start chirping out there, it's like, listen, I want my restructure now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or I'm sitting or staying out. Whoa, then they've got really big problems.
I mean, you look at even this offseason, they let Cole Beasley walk right out the door,
walked right out.
which was surprising because he's been one of the most productive receivers for the Dallas Cowboys. I understand he's not super young. I get that, but he's so damn productive, and he's basically like a security blanket for Dak Prescott. He does a lot of those short to intermediate routes in that slot position, and it played out well for them. So now you got to wonder, as a Dallas Cowboys fan, what does the future hold now? You spent a crap ton of money on one player. Don't get me wrong. He is worth big money, but I think it was a little too much money. Now, does that handcuff them going forward in the near future to where they got to still re-sign Zeke? They got to still sign Amari Cooper, and they got to work on a new deal for their franchise quarterback. So I don't know. I don't think they're in a good spot right now.
Yeah. So I mean, that's something to look into. See where it goes with them. So yeah, thank you, Mike. Definitely keep bringing up
Absolutely,
the comments
Mike.
and questions. We love it when you chime
So
in.
glad
Yeah.
that one of our very own know-it-alls is still coming in hot with the info.
Definitely, yep, absolutely. So let's get back to the Saints quick here.
Wait, what
Yes,
were we talking
we're
about?
talking about the top 5 teams with the best offseason moves. You talk about moves and signings and things like the DeMarcus Lawrence.
That's right.
And that's why the Detroit or the Dallas Cowboys are not on this list.
They are not.
So, but yeah, Jared Cook, you brought up, came back from the Raiders here to New Orleans Saints now, where they needed to fill that void, with the retiring tight end. So now, boom, they've got a nice fit right there. Looks great for this type of offense here with Drew Brees here.
You look at what they got. Michael Thomas, who's been, no one's been able to stop him. You've been able to slow him down a little bit depending on the matchup, corner to wide receiver, but now you're almost making that middle of the field super dangerous. Now it's like, okay, good luck, linebacker, trying to cover Jared Cook. Nobody could hardly do it in Oakland. Now Jared Cook is coming to a very proficient type of passing style offense with one of the best ever at quarterback in Drew Brees. I definitely think Brees absolutely loves this move. It's going to get him back into the groove in terms of having a solid tight end. Once again, another weapon to add on top of Alvin Kamara coming out of the backfield receiving. The possibilities are endless in New Orleans.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm liking the moves they make. I like Latavius Murray there. With the exit of Mark Ingram,
right?
You just fill the void again. There you go. Now you've got Latavius Murray on one side and Alvin Kamara on the other. I mean, oh man, I just like that. I like the 1-2 punch there. It works out good for him.
They bring in the physical type of running back that they like to have to pair up with Kamara. Latavius Murray is a very hard runner, and I think he's developed into a very underrated type of a back for any team that was willing to bring him. You look at what he did with the Minnesota Vikings just last season. And when he came in to start, he produced. He was running through people, making people miss here and there, and for a power back to be able to do that, I think the Saints really like their new addition. You also got to look at Mario Edwards at defensive end. He's kind of like a little bit of a journeyman in the past 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Was with the Raiders, moves on, goes for the Giants for 1 year. I thought he did fairly well with the Giants and still became a free agent. The Saints pick him up, and I think it's a nice add, especially for insurance in case of injury or even for rotational purposes for their defensive line. Will Lutz, one of the best kickers in football, they re-sign him and keep him there. So I think they made a lot of not a lot, but they made precise moves that fit certain holes, and it's going to help them in the long run.
Right, which reminds me of last year's draft when they traded up and grabbed Marcus Davenport, which kind of seemed strange at the time and things like that. But I guess with them, the way they look at it is there's a guy that they definitely want. I don't know if they really needed to trade up to get him, but they grab him. It's a spot, and he looked good for what they did. So if they want to grab value where it is and fill the voids, and they were one bad call away from the Super Bowl. And, I mean, it looks good for the Saints, and they could keep rolling here and maybe get one more for Drew Brees before he retires here.
Right,
Who
and
knows?
I think that trade up for Marcus Davenport was part of that. They know they had Brees locked down for 2 years for last season and this season. They don't know how much farther he's going to play, so their window of opportunity is very close to closing, and they decided, hey, we need pass rusher. That was their biggest need last year. Let's just go up and get the guy we want. Let's not hold anything back. Let's just go and do it, execute, and get it. They ended up getting him. He's still got some developing to do because he's so young and he's a little bit raw coming in. But, man, after another off season, of workouts coming into this year, I think he's going to do just fine for the Saints.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's our number five team
spot
here for the top 5 teams with the best off-season moves.
I know the title's very long,
yes,
everybody,
it is,
but
that's,
it's something that we just had to do.
It explains it all. Trust me.
Coming at number
That's what we
4.
want. So coming in at number 4,
The Cleveland Browns.
The Cleveland Browns. All right, and a lot of people are high on this. I see the grades coming up.
Yep.
Some I think Bleacher Report gave them an A- and things.
Yeah, they went really crazy.
And this is when I was pretty high on them, but we talk about
kinda
this too.
talk-
We tried to narrow it down. It was tough. We had a top 8 and then went down to 5. And so if you look at the Cleveland Browns overall, I mean, they re-signed Greg Robinson. Yeah, kind of like, okay, whatever, They did make the biggest thing for them, I think, overall, when you look at what they've got, I think it's some of the trades. And that's what was flashy about it. They do grab Olivier Vernon from the Giants. He wasn't that productive for the Giants last year. So if you add him to this team, though, or already has
it's because of the scheme. Olivier
Miles
Vernon,
Garrett and some other people, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it
but
helps
Olivier Vernon, he did not fit the 3-4 scheme at all. And that's that. I had concerns going into this year.
Oh, absolutely.
When he's
You said
healthy,
it.
I'm not sure if he has a spot on this defense. And it showed. He played admirably for the position that he did, but he just couldn't execute well enough for them, so they had to move on from him. They had to move on from the contract of him. He goes to the Cleveland Browns and gets paired up with Myles Garrett, like you were just mentioning. I think this is going to be a lethal duo. I think obviously Vernon has to stay healthy, but he's still young. And now that the burden isn't completely on him to get to the quarterback anymore, now he's teamed up with Myles Garrett and company. Don't forget that interior.
I know. Yeah.
It looks pretty dangerous at
Yes.
that defensive front. So I think he's in a good place. I think it works out. And one of the best receivers of all, Odell Beckham. And nobody saw this coming. I'm sorry. If anybody out there says, oh, well, I knew this was going to happen. He was getting traded to the Browns. No way you didn't. Odell Beckham ends up getting traded to the Browns. John Dorsey comes out of nowhere like a boss and just says, you know what? Here, take this. Give me Odell. Pairs Odell back with his college teammate and Jarvis Landry. Once again, 2 LSU Tigers are going to tear up the field this season in the receiving corps. I think it's a brilliant move by John Dorsey. I think this makes this team way harder on top of the talented players that they already had in place. Now they have their franchise quarterback in Baker Mayfield, his rookie year last year. Now he's coming into his second year. He's got a lot of toys to play with. David Njoku at tight end started to really thrive this season. On top of Nick Chubb in the backfield, they did pull off and pick up Kareem Hunt, who ended up getting into trouble.
Got that sneaky maybe hanging in there
The
after a
problem with
suspension,
Kareem
but-
Hunt, I think it's a great move in terms of football, but in terms of PR, I don't know. I question it because you don't know. It's very uncertain to this point what the league is going to do with him. He is not eligible to play right now. He's on the commissioner's exempt list. And if the commissioner doesn't take him off that list, he's not playing. And they still have yet to issue a suspension on top of that. So when if he does get removed from that list, expect a suspension to come really quickly. And we don't know how long that's going to be. Could be all season.
Yeah. I mean, that's some of the couple of moves that they've made, and it's impressive to see what this team could potentially turn into. Where I think now, Dallas Cowboys is America's team, but a lot of people are backing. I know. Apparently, I don't know. I've heard this, but I don't know where it's coming from. But the Cleveland Browns, I think, are right there. I think they are the blue-collar team that's just been losing so long. They get the new regime in there to get things turned around. John Dorsey's doing great moves. They've got the cocky, swaggery kind of quarterback there making moves, but then still a fan favorite. Now you add Odell and Landry, the two best friends. One-handed catches galore to everybody. I mean, that defense is lighting it up still. I mean, they did lose Jabril Peppers, but again, like you said, that front 7 or 8, oh my goodness.
I think
it
Cleveland
looks really
will be
nice.
fine because they're still going to be able to find a safety to replace him in the draft.
And they go from
think it's
not
gonna be
having
fine.
a win last year or the year before last. Now we're in a new year.
Yep.
To now they're calling 9+ wins, and maybe making a playoff spot here, a playoff run. So things are exciting in Cleveland here, finally here, and they're to me kind of getting on that kind of bad boys Browns kind of feel to me. So I'm liking it. I like the swagger. The Browns making moves. They also, I forget about Sheldon Richardson. They end up signed to a 3-year deal too. That's a sneaky little move too, because I think he was still productive in Detroit when they picked him up too. I mean, he made some moves. I think that was a good pickup for him when they grabbed him, and I think this is a nice little addition there. I don't know how he's going to be productive in this defense with everybody that they have, but you can make it work, and it's only an addition. So
and here's the other thing is they did trade away Jabril Peppers, but they did sign an older vet in Morgan Burnett to replace him. We'll have to wait to see how that plays out. I think it'll be just fine. He'll fill in nicely. He'll execute and accomplish that role that he needs to play. Philip Gaines is a DB that they ended up re-signing, which was nice. You got to try to retain your core, retain some of your talented players. Other than that, Sheldon Richardson, he came from the Minnesota Vikings, and
that's
he
what I was
played.
Yeah.
I know.
I knew I had the right
you're
division.
Good, bro.
I had the right
got you.
division.
I got you, brother.
I had the right division.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But he played for 1 year stint in Seattle, ended up going to the Vikings for 1 year, and then moves on now to the Cleveland Browns to strengthen up that defensive core. It could work out, but it also could not, because why is this guy bouncing around to 2 different teams in 2 different years? If this guy was that good, which we thought he was early on in his career, he wouldn't be moving on.
Right,
so
right.
Maybe he'll work out better with them. Who knows? It could be defensive scheme. It could be just, who knows? Different coaching staff is going to light a fire under his rear end, and then he's going to go. A couple of signings that I was kind of questioning was Eric Murray from the safety. They traded for Eric Murray. They gave up Emmanuel Ogbah, who I thought was a better talent than Murray. Yes, 2 different positions, Ogbah being a D-end and Murray a safety. I don't know. I think kind of the Browns lost on that trade. It was a straight-up trade for those 2 players. I think the Chiefs ended up winning that one. Greg Robinson. I'm scratching my head here. This guy, he hasn't been able to stay with any one team.
Yeah.
Always floats around. Is he just a rotational guy? Is he going to be a starter? I don't know. This is what's really kind of shaky about this. And Brian Witzman, I think that's a decent backup move, possibly to be a starter. And Demetrius Harris, who played with the Chiefs, didn't get a lot of field time, but a very tall tight end, a very athletic tight end who may work very well hand in hand with David Njoku.
Yeah,
And
so
that rounds up our 4th spot here with
Here's
the
the
Cleveland
4th
Browns.
spot with the Cleveland Browns. So
And we do know that a lot of people were raving about the Browns offseason moves. And I understand Odell was the big deal. They landed Odell Beckham. It's amazing. But let's see how it all works out. He is one of the best receivers in the league. Still, it's a matter of staying healthy. And let's see where this offense can really go.
all right, so moving on now to our number 3 spot. It is the San Francisco 49ers now. Unfortunately, last year, people were hyped up about the Jimmy G trade, and then we were looking maybe to see what he was. Does he live out to the hype, even though at the end of the season prior he was winning his last 6 games or so.
5-0. 5-0,
injury
everybody.
right away, and there goes Jimmy G and the hopes and dreams for the San Francisco 49ers. They did show some signs here and there. What I found is they did have, again, much like before, they had to live and die by the running game. Had to get that running game going. And Matt Breida, dude, he was lights out. He's playing amazing.
So wasn't Jerick McKinnon when he was
that's
healthy.
true. That's true.
He was healthy for a small stint in the beginning of the season, but man, he was explosive. He was a difference maker for that offense. And then when he went down, it's crazy. He goes down at running back, and everyone's like, "Oh, well, who's this kid, Matt Breida?" A lot of the Niner fans already knew who he was.
Yeah.
But Matt Breida steps on the scene and just continues to take. I'll take the torch here. Let me just go run through everybody. He was very dynamic at running back. And what's that? Their third string. Oh, their third string guy comes in later in the season. Breida gets banged up along the way. And he runs just as well. I mean, it's absolutely insane how the Niners were able to not only have this great talent this great talent at running back in the depth part of their team, but also they end up pulling in another running back this free agency in Tevin Coleman. I'm wondering what's going on in San Francisco, everybody, because last time I checked, you don't normally keep 4 running backs.
Yeah. That's true.
Tevin Coleman, he's been waiting to start. We all knew with Atlanta he was never going to start above Devontae Freeman, especially after Freeman's signing of that big deal. But he ends up deciding to sign with the Niners. Now, I'm wondering what the running back shakeup is going to be here. They got they just re-signed Raheem Mostert, who I like to call Raheem Mustard.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Because I think it's funnier.
Good.
I like it.
Why not?
But no offense, Raheem.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
But anyway,
everybody loves mustard.
That's right.
I mean, it's.
But when
it's
you look
good
at
for
it, you got
Fat-free.
Raheem, you got Matt Breida, you got the returning healthy now Jerick McKinnon, and on top of that, Tevin Coleman.
Yeah.
Now, is this a precursor? I wonder. Did they go out and say, we need Tevin Coleman, we need to bring him in because we're not really sure about the health of Jerick McKinnon coming back? Could be, might not be, but now they have 4 guys that could start. All of them could have the capability to start for this team. I wonder who's going to be left out in the cold in the end. Could it be Raheem? Maybe, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they didn't stop there. They also pulled off a trade for D. Ford, a nice pass rushing specialist, and a guy that's very young, even though he's probably about as dumb as a box of rocks because we all saw the playoff game lining up off sides.
Yeah, we did.
Which cost him the game in a sense, one of the plays. But they pull off and get him to come over to the San Francisco 49ers. This is going to greatly help the pass rush for this Niners team, not to mention his youth that comes along with it. And Quan Alexander, a veteran Pro Bowl type of linebacker who also is going to come in. I don't know what position he's going to play because in my eyes, I think Quan Alexander could play middle, could play outside. It depends where they're going to set him up there. And Jason Verrett, which I think is a really nice signing, was a starter for the Chargers. However, the past, I don't know, it seems like 4 seasons, this guy keeps getting injured every year. Can never even hardly make it to the regular season. So I wonder if maybe a move to San Francisco, maybe all of a sudden he can stay healthy. That would be nice for the 49ers now.
I just want to interrupt you real quick. We have Cody Cook in the house, one of our know-it-alls again, joining us. He says, what's up, guys?
Welcome, Cody.
What's going on, Cody? We're talking about the top 5 teams with the best offseason moves. We've already covered the number 5 was the Saints. Number 4 is the Cleveland Browns. And right now we are in the San Francisco 49ers.
At number 3.
So let us know. Chime in if you agree with us so far or something you want to talk about, too, along with the 49ers, right? What we're talking about right now. If you agree or what you think about the moves that they have made. Go ahead, Joe. Continue.
Yeah, and just, real quick, the offensive guard, Mike Person, he was their starting guard last year. They ended up just re-signing him, bringing him back. So they keep the core guys, but they also pull off some bigger moves than anticipated here. I mean, Tevin Coleman, I'm still shaking my head. I don't know about that. But Quan Alexander is a need that they needed to have, a guy that can come in as a veteran and basically replace Reuben Foster because we all know he had his issues. He got into trouble. Niners said, you know what? We're done.
Yeah.
We're cutting you. So I think Quan Alexander could replace Reuben Foster or at least enhance that linebacking core. They can keep building on it. Jimmy Ward, another guy that they re-signed, they brought back to fill out that DB position, the secondary. Jordan Matthews, we all know nobody's really crazy about Jordan Matthews. However, I've always kind of liked Jordan Matthews coming out of the draft. I thought he's a good possession receiver. He's never going to be an outside receiver. So I think as long as the Niners plan on using him maybe in the slot, because Pierre Garçon has now moved on, they let him go, maybe he's going to move into the slot there and move the chains a little bit for them. So
I think that's the best spot for him because, again, Jordan Matthews with me, like I told you, I mean, this is the one part I don't like about the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
Although, when you look at it overall for the deal, it's not going to hurt anybody. Yeah, whatever. It's take a chance. Why not? See
pennies.
what he can do. But that's the thing with Jordan Matthews. It always seems like with a team, he could kind of be not exactly their number one, but a really strong point for him, and whether it be injuries or even poor play at times, just can't not kind of live up to what I think he really could be.
Expectations.
And that's the thing, the problem with him. That's why I think he's bounced from team to team and can't really find a niche or find a home. Let's hope that he can here with the San Francisco 49ers.
And that's the crazy thing is that he's still so young. I think only if they use him in the slot, I think that's where his home should have always been. We know when he first got drafted by the Eagles, we saw some levels of success in that offense when he first came in and how dynamic he was up the middle of the field. But when they started to try to move him to the outside, that's when we saw all the struggles, and then the Eagles lost favor in him, and he moved on. So hopefully the Niners, let's be smart about this and not try to use him as an outside receiver.
And I agree with you about the Quan Alexander move as well. D Ford, again, a nice young up-and-coming guy here, did make a bonehead mistake in the Super Bowl that cost, or I mean in the championship game that cost them.
I understand.
We were cheering.
Listen,
Everybody in the world was
I know.
cheering, I think, at that one point.
I know.
And
Even
then
I was
that
like,
happens.
oh, it's over. It's
and
over.
then it's not.
No, it's not. We got a flag over here.
That's right. And
Oh,
now-
who's that guy? Oh, that's D Ford guy. He's a damn moron.
Yeah.
Don't.
I know.
You got to wonder here too because of this trade. I know he's very young still, and maybe the Kansas City Chiefs just simply didn't want to try to shell out big time money to keep him there. But I do know the Kansas City Chiefs are also changing. They're in the middle of transitioning over to a different defensive scheme, which he might not have fit.
Yeah, right.
So that could also be the reason why they ended up looking for a trade partner.
Yep. And talk about the Tevin Coleman deal with the running backs. Again, it is strange at times just because he's been sitting there with Devonta Freeman sharing the carries anyways, and you would think that he wanted to try and find that team to step into the limelight.
Right.
I thought he would have been a great spot over there at the Jets, but that didn't happen, and they ended up
wanted
getting
Bell.
Le'Veon Bell anyways, so I guess not. But yeah, now like you said, maybe that it is. They're going to try and find who fits them better or how it works out, and they can play it the way that a lot of people do in fantasy. Stack up on running backs. If somebody has a running back that goes
Trade
down,
'em.
boom, you got some. Hey, you need one, we have one. I mean, look at the way the Redskins are right now. They re-signed Adrian Peterson again because he did so well last year for him. I mean, but that's what you're relying on, for a running back.
And that's the crazy thing. Like, why didn't
what's going on?
Why didn't the
right.
Redskins, one of those teams that need a running back, why didn't they go after a Tevin Coleman?
Yeah.
Why didn't the Raiders, who still need a running back, go after Tevin Coleman? I mean, there's other teams there. The Colts could have been a nice addition for the Colts to pair him up with with Marlon Mack. So you just got to wonder what some of these teams are thinking now. Maybe who knows? Maybe they were just like, we don't think he fits our scheme or our type of style of team that we like. But somebody else could have picked him up and it would have been a way better decision for not only Tevin Coleman himself. It also would have been a better decision for that team that is in need at running back.
Oh, yeah. All right, Cody chimes in. He says here, he goes, I mean, all of their running backs got hurt last year, so I guess if they keep signing more, at least one will be healthy. Or, you get 4 equals 1, that won the whole running back. Yeah, I know. Yeah, at times maybe.
The only problem with that whole scenario is that you take away from another roster spot from a different position.
Yeah, and
So-
if they possibly do like what the Giants would do is like run one here and this down, that so you
Right.
can't get a rhythm together,
No.
and then it's all kind of screwy. Or
Right.
this is your third down back
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yep.
And sometimes
I
that
think
doesn't really work out.
I think the
so.
key is to have 2 guys.
Mhm.
The key
Yeah.
is to have 2 decent guys or really good guys that can come in and they can alternate for whatever which the team needs.
Right. There's a lot
And-
of time left over. I mean, we're
Yeah.
nowhere near the preseason
Oh.
and things like that, so
Right.
there's going to be cuts, and so who knows what can
Absolutely.
happen until then. So.
Absolutely.
Excuse me. So, yeah, I think the San Francisco made some good moves.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how this offense is going to run finally with Jimmy G back, at the helm, and see if we can actually see what
And
these
they were
49ers
doing good.
are. They did at
That's
times
the thing,
last
you
year.
know, Marquise Goodwin was lighting it up, and Pierre Garçon, even though they moved on from him and he was a little bit older, he was still executing as well. So Dante Pettis,
I think the only team that they couldn't beat or something, or the only team that the Cardinals could beat were the 49ers. I think the Cardinals beat them twice, and that was the only team they beat.
but Dante Pettis, a rookie last year, he was
Yeah.
starting to
Yeah.
come into his own as well. So maybe they like what they have going on there. That Jimmy G gets to return once again, and hopefully he stays healthy for the Niner fans out there, because he's really the reason why they were lighting up the scoreboard with him. George Kittle, along with that receiving core. You look at this off season now. You look at this draft that they're coming into. Wide receiver looks like it still may be a need. They brought in Jordan Matthews, but
Yeah,
and they have
Oh, yeah.
Goodwin, and
Goodwin.
they have Dante Pettis.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think they could add one more receiver to make that complete, along with their running backs, along with their offensive line, and then mixed pieces that they need on the defense.
Yeah, because one I don't think has really stepped out and said, I'm the number one. You know what I mean? So you don't exactly
Right.
need to do that. I mean, look at the Patriots. They don't have a guy that
No.
spoke out and said, I'm the number one. But,
There's no
you
such
know, I
thing.
think
They
that
just
helps.
have number two
but
receivers
I
across
also
the
that
board.
I don't think that helps, yes. As our number threes even sometimes, And Julian Edelman, who is a future Hall of Famer, apparently. But that's what I mean. We bring up Gronkowski, too. He's not a receiver. He's a tight end, but yeah, okay. As far as them, though, I mean, it's always good for Jimmy Garoppolo to have even that guy he can trust now. Does he have that
Right.
guy? Is he going to be Goodwin? Is he going to be Pettis? Who knows? We'll see what happens with that. Is he
It
gonna
could
develop
end
that
up
relationship?
developing to be Jordan Matthews. So I have to wait and see there.
Yep, a lot of things moving on there too.
We're in the top two now,
We're in
buddy.
the top two. I hope you guys are enjoying the show. And chime in. What do you think? Did you like so
Yeah.
far? What we have? We have the Saints, the Cleveland Browns, and the 49ers. Are you in agreement so far? Do you think some of those kind of should have been moved up more, or even you got
Possible.
somebody else involved? Maybe try and guess what we're doing for number 2 and number 1. Here we go. We're going to move on to number 2 here, Joe. Again, these were all tough decisions. These are all based on just the moves that they made altogether, not exactly how we think their team is going to be now,
Right. No, it's not like
afterwards.
that.
So
it's just the off-season moves. Have they done enough in the off-season to make an impact for their whole entire team?
Yeah. So here we go, and it might be a surprise to some, but we're looking at the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo
right.
Bills
Circle
moving
the
and shaking,
wagons.
making some moves, and one of the moves that they made that I really like is Cole Beasley. I am a Giants fan, but I have always had a little thing for Cole Beasley.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Maybe I just like the speed.
Could be the golden locks.
Yeah, golden locks, maybe.
Andy raps.
His rap style, I'm not sure. Maybe it reminds me of a guy that used to rap. That was a little short, blonde-haired white dude. Maybe that's what it is.
Could be.
But his hands too, speedy underneath the
Quick.
in
Extremely
the slot.
quick.
I mean, a lot of he's one of those guys that's the Swiss Army knife. I think kind of a wide
Right.
receiver. That's what I
Yeah.
like about him. And I think again last year could have been his spot to take off, but they didn't just really use him. I don't know what the deal was. I don't know if he was covered or what was the problem. They were just not getting the ball to him. And you even had some more options last year.
Yeah.
And they still couldn't figure out to where they had to go make that trade to get Amari Cooper. So
Yeah, you
I
look at Michael Gallup, who they drafted, who I thought was a nice draft pick for them, a big physical guy, almost in the mold of Michael Irvin, not as good, but he still has some development to go on. But he started to come on later into the season. Tavon Austin, who, again, he's another guy who's very quick, who just really hasn't found a niche anywhere with any team. And, Amari Cooper, they pull off the trade, said this is going to be the difference maker for us. This is going to carry us over the top. And it almost worked. It almost worked.
Yeah, so I mean, I like the picking up Cole Beasley. They get John Brown too, also where I thought he was just kind of an
God.
average wide receiver there for the Arizona Cardinals, but then he
I'll
goes
tell
to
you right now.
Baltimore and
John Brown, I think, is one of the
Boom.
best additions for this team because he is not just a guy that you put in the slot. He is an outside receiver. Despite his stature, despite his short stature, the guy is extremely explosive, very quick, extremely fast, and can catch. He's not Antonio Brown, but I'll tell you right now, he's definitely a difference maker on the outside. So and I think he can run any single route that you give him, and he'll get open. Cole Beasley, I think, is going to be a sweet deal for Josh Allen in the slot. I don't see him going to the outside, or at least I don't expect it to. But it is a nice double shot of wide receiver help for Josh Allen here. You know, I think that's going to work out tremendously.
He wanted, or the one thing that he didn't have was wide receivers. Now he has some, so that would be great for him.
And you pair them up with Zay Jones, who actually played very well with Josh Allen. They had a nice rapport, and he had the best season of his short career. So you pair up Zay Jones with these two guys, maybe they can teach him a few tricks while they're there, and this offense could
it could be
something
sneaky
dangerous.
because it's funny is now with people where they're saying about the Patriots and Gronkowski retired and things like that. Are they going to be on the downturn now finally even? And now the Jets with the moves they're making, are they going to sneak up and take the division? And don't sleep on the Bills
I
still
don't
too.
know,
I mean,
man.
so there's a lot of stuff going on. You know, Patriots are always the Patriots though. And we got Mike Tackett joining here too. He wants to talk about the Patriots a little bit.
What's up, Mike?
With the recent Greg Schiano fiasco in New England.
Yes.
Who do you think the Patriots look to for their vacant DC position? Does Belichick promote within, or does he assume the DC role? We all know he can do it. I think it's just a matter of if he wants to do it.
Right.
Also, with Austin Seferian-Jenkins signing, is the true Gronk replacement, or do the Patriots try to draft one if the tight ends, like the tight end from Iowa?
Okay, so it's a two-part question.
two-part
okay,
question.
the first part, right quick here.
Yeah.
As far as the defensive coordinator role goes, a lot of the times New England Patriots do employ from within, especially with it being kind of like in the mid part of the offseason, especially with the draft coming up and stuff. They might not look to hire anybody or promote anybody until after the draft is done. They will look at other staffs and say, is there anybody that fits our mold? Because this is what they do better than anybody else. And it's not just about players. It's also about the coaching staff. They do a great job of finding guys that fit their coaching staff as well as players that fit their scheme. And most of the time they do employ from within. I see that happening again. However, I wouldn't be shocked if they do pick somebody off of a different coaching staff. I just don't think they're going to make the move right now. And for the second part of the question with Austin Seferian-Jenkins, it's very possible that he could be the legitimate replacement for Gronkowski. This is a guy that is a under-the-radar type of player, and despite being a little nicked up here and there, he just hasn't had great production because of his past injuries that he sustained. You're going to see an Austin Seferian-Jenkins at tight end who's going to get used heavily in this New England offense, who I think is going to execute very well for them. And a lot of fans might be surprised on how productive he ends up becoming.
Yeah, I agree with you about...
Real quick, I'm sorry to cut you
No,
off,
that's
but
fine.
as far as drafting a tight end, I still see them drafting a tight end as well,
Oh,
because he's not the long-term answer. He's kind of the stopgap in a sense.
Right.
So if they happen to see like a T.J. Hawkinson from Iowa, or maybe even Noah Fant, just a plain receiving threat at tight end, they could go with either one of those guys and turn them into superstars. So
Yeah, I agree with you on Austin Seferian-Jenkins. He is not the same type of tight end that like Rob Gronkowski is and
No.
stuff, but
No.
he is the type of receiving threat that the Patriots love, and he would fit nicely in that
He
whole
would.
scheme. So I like the way that fits there, and that was a great sneaky move. Like a lot of us just thought, like, wow, how's this guy still out there? And about the Greg Schiano thing, I thought it was just strange too how he walked away. Like, I mean, the way he said it though too, like he really needed to evaluate decisions in his life, like what happened and what's going on in the Patriots organization. Where I was like, yo, what is that? Because he wasn't there long,
right. And it's because, I'm sorry, he says in his statement that it has nothing to do with the Robert Kraft situation. but it does. Come on.
Yeah.
You don't sign
what Yeah.
1 or 2 weeks before, and then all of a sudden this happens, and he's like, I'm out. See
Yeah, I
ya."
don't know if I should be working for a guy. That's what I kind of thought here, too. And, yeah, well, just like Joe said, again, they're going to find somebody within there. They have a lot of
They
time.
will.
This is what they do. They think smart. They don't make rash decisions very
Right.
quickly.
Right.
And we have a Kevin Sumner sighting here, too, is Joe.
Holy
Holy
smokes.
smokes. We're getting everybody chiming
What's
in
up,
here.
Kevin?
All right. Hey, what's up, guys? We lost our Super Bowl. Yeah, I know. I mean, damn it. We're over that, though. We're not doing
I'm
new
turning
season.
the page and like
Yes,
Antonio Brown.
Yes, and he says the Browns hand down best offseason moves. Well, how do people think so? Like,
Yeah.
again, they did make a lot of flashy moves, and
They
no
made-
lie, they made their team better. We'll get the offensive weapons they have now, and even added to their defense. So, I mean,
Here's the thing: it's
exciting.
like the Cleveland Browns. The reason why they're not on top of our list
Mm-hmm.
is because when you look at what they've done, there's a lot of second, third tier, even fourth tier
Mm-hmm.
moves that they made, and I say a lot, but it's really like 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just that one big move that everybody pays attention
that
to.
fit
is Odell.
perfect, But did they really need to make a lot of adjustments right now, either in two? I mean, not really, because you know what? They did so well in the draft last year, I think, that
The
they fit a lot of their
The
pieces
draft,
and
not only the
offseason last
draft,
year.
but the offseason last
Yeah,
year
yep.
as well.
I just said it.
This offseason, they didn't really need to do a
No.
whole lot. And they're setting themselves up pretty well for the long-term goal, and that's winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I know it's crazy because they are the Cleveland Browns. Everybody knows the Browns as being a team that's not even ever in it. But you might see a completely different team. From last year, we saw some upscale spurts in terms of production on the offense as well as the defense, especially when they got rid of their coaches.
Yeah, absolutely.
what I mean?
And we called about it. We said
Right.
Freddie Kitchens has to
Yep.
start leading this team, and that will go happen.
And that's what happened. And when Freddie Kitchens took over this offense, the production went right through the roof.
Yep.
So by adding Odell, this team looks pretty dangerous, especially on offense. And we already knew the defense was pretty stout. Now with this draft coming, if they can add a couple more pieces on the defensive end, this team could be ready to make some moves.
Right. And Kevin, I know he is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. How do you think the Bucs have done so far? And are you excited about having Bruce Arians there now? I mean, it's a change of pace. You get rid of Dirk Cutter finally. So
Don't forget too, Todd Bowles.
yes.
They added him as a D coordinator. I think he's going to make that defense turn right over to a good side of the leaf there. He's going to make changes to make it his defense, to make it very tenacious to attack, to not try to give the quarterback time, as well as that secondary. He's got to completely overhaul the secondary. Tampa Bay fans know this, and it all starts with the draft coming up. I think that's what their main
focus is.
yes. objective.
Yes.
Their main objective is going to be defense. Concentrate on that in the draft. Because to be honest, I think their offense is kind of right there. They still could use some upgrades, but overall, this defense, if they get the defense right, I know it's a lot to ask in one offseason,
Right.
but they could turn their team right around and end up pushing for the playoffs. too.
Yeah, and they need consistency on the offense there. Now
Right.
we know it is Jameis Winston's team.
We
now,
finally
so-
have an answer, and it only took changing the head coach to get one.
Yeah, I guess so. Or even a whole full season of back and forth,
Now, Bruce
But
Arians is an offensive genius.
Yeah.
You team up with Todd Bowles
And
too
he's
to
been-
handle the defense. I think it's a great marriage there
Yep.
in the coaching staff.
and he's familiar with Jameis, so
right.
who knows?
And I think this might work out well for Tampa Bay.
All right, now moving back to the Buffalo Bills here, we didn't even get through all the signings that they even grabbed. They even grabbed Tyler Kroft here, Joe. I mean, a year or so ago, not even last year, Zay Jones took off last year, but the even year before that, their best receiving threat was Charles Clay. And that's where there was an issue with this team. It's like, this guy cannot be your top receiver every
He
year.
also couldn't
and stuff.
stay on the field.
No, he couldn't. Yes, see? So now they've got Tyler Kroft in here, which is, I think when we talked about
That's
it,
a
like,
win-win.
yeah, like how did he
And the
get
Bengals
loose?
let
How
him
did
go.
the Bengals let him go? Yeah.
They ended up re-signing
Res-
C.J. Uzoma.
Yeah.
So they chose Uzoma over him and Tyler Eifert,
And Tyler.
the
yeah.
guy that never steps on the field. I think he's just like the water boy in
Right.
Cincinnati.
Yeah. We lost Deshaun, he says here. Kevin Sumner chimes in about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We lost Deshaun. But as far as coaching, I think we will see after the draft, and we need to get rid of Winston. Boom. See, he is anti-Winston.
And
There you go.
and we both felt the same way, that we don't think Jameis Winston is the long-term guy. We thought that Fitzpatrick could have been a nice stopgap for them until they found their new quarterback. Maybe they could have moved Jameis Winston in a trade, and it could have worked out better
If
for them.
there's somebody there, do you think they
they?
sneak in and snag one this year?
It's possible.
Who knows? Imagine that.
possible.
Imagine that be the surprise
It's
of the
possible.
draft. You know what I mean? Like get a Drew Lock or somebody up in there if they can.
It's possible.
Yeah,
man.
it is
Anything
possible
is possible
with
in the draft.
with what they have. You
Listen,
know?
here's the thing: is we don't ever claim to have inside information, or
no.
we don't talk to Adam Schefter personally, and
No.
we don't all this other stuff, but we study the game and we pay attention to the minor details that give us tips on what could possibly happen, and that's not so far-fetched. That could definitely happen because it's a new regime, a new coaching staff. Usually when that happens, even if they have familiarity with the quarterback that's in place, they might not hesitate on bringing in a quarterback, especially if one falls to them. Just saying, it could happen.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I mean, because he might not be Mr. Right. He's just Mr. Right now. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I'm saying? Fitz could be a temp fix. Yeah, I mean, but now he's with who
now
did
he's
he
with the
sign
Miami
Miami
Dolphins.
Dolphins, yeah.
So Brian Flores
Yes.
putting his stamp on the Miami Dolphins brings
go.
in the bearded wonder.
Yes.
Fitz magic.
Yes. So I mean,
He's
we'll
going to
see.
turn the Dolphins around in one season.
Yeah, right. So I mean, that's a nuts thing that could happen there. So we'll follow that. You know, and talk about the drafted experts though. We're trying to get Drew Boilhart on our show for our draft show in 2 weeks.
Yeah, in
the
2 weeks.
night before the show. We're trying to work it out, and he follows the draft, studies it nonstop. So he is a very important guy, and
He's
he
an
really
ex-scout. He writes for or actually
in the huddle, I think,
yeah.
right? Is it in the
Yep.
huddle.com maybe? Or he's written many
In the
books,
Huddle.
author of many books, and so we're gonna try and get him on the show and give you guys all the draft information you want,
and give you his opinion,
his opinion.
on where picks might fall, what the top 5 picks could look like,
Yeah.
stuff like that. We're going to talk the draft. That'll be our big time draft
that'll
episode
be
there,
one of our biggest
and it'll be a
ones
lot
yet.
of fun.
Oh, absolutely. So that'll be in a few weeks, but yeah, all right. So the Buccaneers again, that could be a surprise too. You never know, and nobody's talking about it, and they're keeping
Yep.
hush hush. So imagine that though, if they
They do
really
have-
don't buy into what he's doing.
And Kevin Sumner's right. They do have to execute with the draft picks that they
Yes.
have.
Yeah.
And we all know that the secondary is a big
Yeah.
weakness of theirs.
Yeah.
They got to concentrate there. They got to find the right
They
guys.
really do.
They do have a nice front 7.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that coming in. Yes, they lost Quan Alexander, but I think they'll be okay. I think depending on what they take. Now listen, they're picking high.
Yeah.
They could take. They could quite honestly, if he's there, take a Devin White to replace that Quan Alexander. They could take, a Devin Bush if they thought that he was a better option. So they could easily take whoever they need to make this defense better right from the get go. So we'll have to wait and see how that all unravels. But
He
it's
says-
definitely interesting.
Yeah, he says one more here. Next year is going to be crazy too because there are a lot of 1-year deals. See,
Yep.
that's always exciting when you have the 1-year deals that happen. So I mean,
No, the Raiders did it last year.
Yeah.
They had like almost everybody on the defense on a 1-year deal.
yeah. Then it's a free for all.
Yeah.
Who knows? The team can completely change, just
right.
like that. So the whole face of them. So you never know.
But yeah, we're talking about the top
that-
5 teams with the best offseason moves. We are currently at number 2, and we're talking about the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
We mentioned that the 2 receivers that they had in Cole Beasley and John Brown, and how good of an execution on signings that was to really – that was the biggest weakness they had on that offense, and they addressed it with 2 of them. E.J. Gaines, the
Gaines.
cornerback who they're going to bring in, and – who knows? Maybe he could push for a starting spot opposite Tre'Davious White. Or maybe he's a rotational guy. We'll have to wait and see. Frank Gore, which was an interesting signing to me at running back. He started down in Miami. He's close to home. I thought he was going to sign another 1-year deal with Miami if they wanted him.
right.
But he ends up signing with the Buffalo Bills and leaves his backyard there. I'm kind of wondering, like, with this kind of a move, it's another veteran running back that you bring in. Is he going to be just kind of like alleviate some of the snaps that LaShawn McCoy gets to kind of like free up his body, keep it a little bit healthier? Or is this kind of a move where maybe the Buffalo Bills might look to move on from LaShawn McCoy and his contract, and bring in a Frank Gore along with possibly a drafted running back in the draft. I don't know. It could go either way, or maybe it's nothing. Maybe he's just going to come in and alleviate some of those snaps from him. I don't know. What do you think about the Frank Gore thing?
I like we talked about it a little bit last night. Kevin Sumner joins in. He says the Cole Beasley is a monster, which we agree with too. We love the Cole Beasley move. This is a great sneaky move. Nobody's talking about the Bills. But Frank Gore, again, it was interesting. Like you said, the dynamic, it made you scratch a little bit. Well, you scratch your head. You're like, all right, you've got Shady McCoy. I mean, yes, some of the other guys couldn't do anything, which you thought maybe they would be able. Williams hopefully would kind of step up a little bit. Wasn't happening.
It's funny because here's a team that needed a running back. Tevin Coleman was
I was just thinking that as you were talking about it. I'm like, Tevin Coleman could have went there. That would have been a nice move. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because, again, receiving back a little bit, but still can pound the ball. Frank Gore, you thought, maybe because he worked so well, a resurgence of his career, there. I mean, he showed signs that he could still do it for the Colts, but then goes to the Miami Dolphins and picks up the torch for where they were struggling at running at times, and says, hey, I can still do this. I'm still a Hall of Famer, running back. A lot of people think
he looked like a very rejuvenated running back when he was down in Miami.
Yeah, and maybe the weather was good for him. But then to go now move up to the Northeast in cold Buffalo behind Shady McCoy, who is a veteran running back now too. So now you've got two solid veterans. What's the plan? Like you said, I'm not sure what's going on. Do you expect that LaShawn McCoy might still have a bit of an injury bug here and there, and Frank Gore's going to be that solid guy there? Or are you going to use Frank Gore up the middle and pound the rock, and then a little Shady on the outside here and there and dump offs? Right. What's the thing there? I don't know.
I don't know if Frank Gore knows this, but the climate and the weather is completely different from Miami.
And maybe just overall veteran presence here to work with Josh Allen too, and just help develop him mentally as a leader and things too. Who knows? Maybe that's part of it.
So we looked at that. We talked a little bit about Tyler Kroft there, and I think this is another underrated move. This is a position of need because Charles Clay can never stay on the field. I think they get a very productive, a very under the radar type of name that no one hardly really talks about except for the Bengals fans, and he's going to be very productive, I think, for this offense, especially for Josh Allen. I think they're starting to create a nice offense right now. We do know they still have some answers at offensive line that they need to address, but they did a little bit of. They brought in Mitch Morse, the starting center from the Chiefs. He's going to end up starting at the center position. They brought in an offensive tackle, and Tyler Nske. I don't even know how to pronounce it.
I think it's Nasiki, but
Nasiki?
It could be wrong. I don't know. We'll have to ask Siri, maybe. I don't know.
Anyway, offensive tackle. He came from the Redskins. He did start a few times at the left tackle position and played very admirably. He played very well for them. So I think the Bills are looking at him as possibly playing left tackle. At the very least, he starts at right tackle, and they upgrade on either side. Jordan Phillips, D tackle, they ended up keeping on the Buffalo Bills. They're going to have him plug and play in the middle there. And Quinton Spain, who was a late addition to this team, but that's another offensive guard to also come in and start on this offensive line. So you look at three positions, three offensive linemen that could come in and start right away in free agency. That's a big boost, along with the receiving threats that they've added. They do add Kevin Johnson at corner. Never has really been able to fully develop and become the starting corner that the Houston Texans were hoping. He gets another chance in Buffalo to maybe make a difference there. And Andre Roberts. Andre Roberts is a Pro Bowl type of kick returner who they just re-signed, and he's going to stay there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I like he kind of burst out a little bit last year, kind of showed, like you said, his skill with the kick returns. Now you've got Cole Beasley there, too, so do they put both those guys back there on kick returns and then maybe just keep him on punt returns, too, as well? So, I mean, that adds to another dynamic, having even Cole Beasley along with a guy like this. I mean,
I think Roberts is just going to be the returner. Yeah. Cole Beasley is the guy, the starter for the receiver. Why put him out there if you don't need to?
I hear you. But, I mean, there's options, baby.
There is options.
I love options.
So, and for the first time, Buffalo Bills have options at the receiving corps. So,
All right.
That's pretty uplifting there. So the Buffalo Bills make our number 2 spot, everybody, for top 5 teams with the best offseason moves. Before we get to the number 1, the number 1 might shock some people. The number 1 people might be like, how is that? But before we get there, I just want to break down for you that, if you're on Twitter, you should just follow us for football news. That's all I want to say is that you can follow us at FB_no. Follow us on Twitter. Get all the latest and greatest updates from around the NFL league. And also go ahead and follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Help us build our audience on YouTube. Football on the No, /Jim and Joe. Hit the subscribe button. Smash the hell out of that notification bell. And get all the latest and greatest update content that we upload.
Absolutely. We're making upgrades constantly, trying to get things out there and hit you from every type of social media that we can and make the show better for you. So that we're trying to do that.
Pretty soon, we just developed a Snapchat.
Oh, we did.
For Football on the No.
That's right. So if you guys
It
want to
is
see
FB_no on Snapchat.
Yeah.
Go ahead and hit us up.
just like the Twitter, FB_no.
At times we're going to give you a little glimpse behind the curtain, so to speak, before we get ready for the show or after we're done with the show, even into our lives sometimes.
Yeah.
So if you're interested to see what we do behind the camera.
Yeah, because we don't
Tune
just
in.
even hang out here. We hang out in other places. We go out to other bars and things like that, or to hang out with other people that are following the show. People that work with us with the show. Stephen Murray, a really funny guy, voice actor, voiceactorgarage.com. He is our guy that does our intro, and he's on the show at times, does impressions and things. We were hanging out with him sometimes. We are getting a new music lineup for our headlines, segment coming up too with our friend DJ Dread. You can see him at djdreadny.com and see all his stuff.
Shout out to DJ Dread.
DJ Dread right there, So a lot of moves happening. We're trying to improve nonstop, and we will plug anybody that we can here that helps us and comes along with us. So you can check us out on our social media all over. New to Snapchat, so it's going to be cool. Just FB_no, and just stay with us. Yeah, definitely. We're going to have a lot of fun. You know what I'm saying?
And just so you all know, I know you're all know-it-alls out there. We need you to do one more thing
yeah.
for us. What? What's oh yeah?
Well, I'm thinking just add some more members to the
That's
group.
what
Let's
I'm
get it
talking
going.
about.
Let's get this
it
group
going,
Get
everybody.
some more people that love
If
football out
you
there.
know anybody, it could be an aunt, an uncle, your father, your mother,
In
cousins,
conversation. If you're going to a
friends,
wedding this summer,
anybody.
I want you to tell
Spread the
everybody
word.
about this. And just have to, hey, you
That's
want
it.
to talk football? You know this, guys? Come
right.
on. I love this show. You guys
What?
will love it too.
You're a Chargers fan? Well, man, you got to check out these guys on Football
We
on the
talk
No.
about the
Football on the
Chargers.
what?
Yes.
Football on the No. Yeah,
on
that's right.
Facebook.
If you don't know, then you got to get in the know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it'll be a lot of fun. And we appreciate all the support that everybody's been giving us too as well. So,
Definitely.
all right,
Thank
Joe,
you.
you ready to move on to our number 1, or do you want to even hint into our headlines and then get back to number 1 afterwards? No, tease it a little longer.
Tease?
I'm not sure. What do you think?
Let's
Roll the
do it.
dice?
Let's do a little tease.
All right, let's do it. Let's head up into the thing we like to call the drop.
And if you guys go ahead in the chat real quick, guess what the number 1 team is for off-season moves? Former Tennessee Titans guard Quentin Spain has agreed to a 1-year deal with the Buffalo Bills. And if you tuned in earlier, you already know that. Free agent wide receiver Ryan Grant signs a 1-year deal with the Oakland Raiders. Another receiver added to boost up that receiving core that was once terrible last year. Morgan Burnett to sign a 2-year deal, $9 million, $4 million guaranteed contract with the Cleveland Browns, filling that void of Jabril Peppers. The Seattle Seahawks have signed defensive end Cassius Marsh to a 1-year deal, per Brady Henderson of ESPN reports. This is a move where he kind of like took a hiatus. He went to a different team for 1 season, and then now they just signed him right back.
Yeah.
We miss you, Cassius.
Yeah, that's right. Welcome back.
Wide receiver Seth Roberts has been released by the Oakland Raiders after 5 seasons with the team. And since only a few days later, exactly, the Ravens have signed Seth Roberts to a 1-year deal. I am partying like it's 1999 there.
Yeah.
because I've been clamoring for Seth Roberts to get cut for years. And finally, it has happened. The one wide receiver who's had one of the worst drop rates in the league has finally been cut. Baltimore, have fun. Sean McVay has over $20,000 in jewelry/purses stolen in home burglary. That's
Why
pretty
does he have
crazy.
so many purses? Well, yeah, I know,
Listen,
right? Yeah, what happened there?
I'm not judging McVay. If
Yeah,
he likes
what
to
happened
wear
there?
a satchel, let him wear a
Man,
satchel.
these Patriots or Bill Belichick will stop at no means to show that he is the best and he is elite. It's bad enough he robbed him in the Super Bowl, but now he's going to rob his home.
Buy any
Belichick.
purses on Patriots.com.
Yes.
The Dallas Cowboys and DeMarcus Lawrence agreed to a 5-year contract extension worth $105 million. $65 million of that is guaranteed, according to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport and Mike Garafolo. Cha-ching!
Yep.
I mean, cash in. And we just talked about it earlier, so if you missed it, you're going to have to rewatch the episode. That's all I'm going to tell you. Tiki Barber. Tiki Barber investing in marijuana business startups. He's to
Winners don't use drugs.
Tiki Barber refuses that remark. Discusses NFL drug testing. So Tiki Barber is trying to make a movement here. Not only is he getting into the marijuana business, but he's also trying to discuss with the NFL on the the benefits of marijuana and how they should probably implement it into the NFL. The NFL?
Smoke weed every day.
The NFL, though, I don't think is going to budge until it's legalized everywhere.
Yup, it was a marijuana. Marijuana.
Free agent linebacker Gerald Hodges retires, everybody. A guy that played linebacker at only 20. He's 28 years old. He still could play.
Yeah.
But apparently nobody wants him. He played with the Cardinals, 49ers, Vikings, Bills, and the New Orleans Saints. I'm surprised because this is a guy that is a decent player who kind of like went team to team and never found a home anywhere.
Yeah.
Vikings add backup quarterback Sean Mannion on a 1-year deal. And it's not a blockbuster. Yeah, blockbuster signing.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe the Vikings are like, you know what? Let's get a backup because we can't rely on Kirk Cousins if he gets injured. Former England rugby union player Christian Wade has signed a contract with the Buffalo Bills.
What?
This is where the NFL doesn't just look in college for players. They don't just look in the Canadian Football League for players. They don't just look in the AA. Oh, that's right. The AAFL's done with. But,
Stop bringing that up. That's going to hurt Mike Tackett. That's not fair.
But
messed
anyway,
up.
they're also looking in the rugby league here. And Christian Wade, here's the funny thing, is he going to be a running back? Is he going to play a different position other than run? You got to wonder what the whole goal here is with a rugby player. We are now on Snapchat. If you didn't tune in 30 seconds ago, I'm just telling you right now, we are on Snapchat. It's new to us. We're going to give you some glimpse behind the curtain, so to speak. We're going to show you some things that we do in our everyday lives.
And we're going to do
if
funny
we-
filters with
Right.
dogs and things or whatever.
Cats, whatever you may be.
Yeah.
Whatever.
We just did a post there, and I had Tom Brady on there with us and stuff. So it was a lot of fun. So I'm having fun with it. Hopefully you guys will too. Join us, follow us, subscribe. Let's do it. Let's have some fun. We get silly.
Chiefs signed free agent defensive end linebacker Jeremiah Atachu. Jeremiah Atachu used to play for the Chargers last year. Now found a new home with the Chiefs going into the season. The Patriots have signed veteran tight end Austin Seferian-Jenkins to a 1-year deal per Field Yates. Again, if you didn't tune in earlier in the show, blah, 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 you're hearing it right now. So
I like you.
And
You
that's
have
it for the drop.
balls. I like balls.
Yes. We like Austin Seferian-Jenkins over there at the Patriots. So does Tom Brady.
Boom, shakalaka.
So, he's a good fit. So there's the drop. Yeah. Oh man, it's good to do the drop again. A lot of fun. I get to hit my sounds and buzzers and stuff.
I mean,
again.
it's been a while,
It has
and
been.
I was a little rusty, just a little bit.
all right.
But you know what? I think we got through it.
Yes,
just fine.
yes, and we're warming it up here. We're bringing it back. We're bringing it back, Joe. And all of our know-it-alls are coming in here tonight, and making us feel at home again. They're coming
Absolutely.
back right back to us like we weren't gone that long, Joe. It was like it was just yesterday that we were upset that the Patriots won yet another Super Bowl.
You know, it's just like the words of DMX. You know, if you think you own it, let it go.
I
If it
don't-
comes back to
when
you,
did
it's
he rap
yours.
that? Did he say that? Is
Yeah.
that in a verse?
Yeah.
Oh, huh. All right,
Man,
there you go.
I'll tell you.
I'm a DMX fan too. I'm
I just
surprised
had to
didn't
drop
know
that.
one. Yeah, that you dropped some
So-
serious knowledge on me right there. That's some
Some
crazy stuff.
And this is the kind of knowledge you get.
Yes, there you go. That's extra stuff. You know, yeah. So, all right, here we go. So, all right, now we're going to get back to our segment that we are doing here. We were looking at the top 5. Here we go. Top 5 teams with the best off-season
Off-season
moves.
moves. That's it.
At number 5,
go.
we had, what was it, the New Orleans Saints. At number 4, it was the Cleveland Browns. At number 3, the San Francisco 49ers.
That's right.
Number 2, sneaking in there, the Buffalo Bills. And
That's right.
they grabbed that rugby player, too, man. That's just
Yeah.
crazy, making moves. And at number 1, and some of you might be hating and things like that, but they only hate us because they ain't us, Joe. You know what I'm saying? We're going with the Oakland Raiders here. And some might say we're biased here, you know, not me. I'm not a Raiders fan, but Joe is. But you know what? When we talk about this and we come up with these lists, it's a lot of arguing, and but it's a lot of compromise though too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we hurt each other's feelings, but overall we come back together and we come on, and agree.
We
on
listen
the
to
last
each other's
couple things.
points.
We do.
Yeah, we
So
listen to each other's points and we narrow it down.
Yeah, and they made a lot. You know, when I talk about moves,
lot of moves.
They made a lot of moves, and what I liked best about the Raiders, why I put them up there, they attacked needs. You know what I mean? A lot of teams that needed stuff, they just sit back and they've got money to spend, and
The
they just
Colts-
sit there and watch. Yeah.
I mean, they
Colts
did-
made
they-
some good moves,
Right.
but few moves. And the Raiders were all over the board, and one of the biggest everybody knows is they grabbed Antonio Brown. And for a steal, I think. The third rounder, number 66 overall, and a fifth, number 141 overall. I mean, it's great. And then he's happy. But it's funny, I think he even didn't exactly get all the money that he really exactly wanted, but he
Oh,
he's there.
he got an,
He got
an
a payday,
upgrade.
but yeah.
He got a big payday.
Yeah.
And I'm not crazy about the contract.
Yeah, yeah.
I was not crazy about let's give him a boatload of money. I was like, okay, if you want to give him a little bit of a raise, okay, fine. But the amount that they gave him,
That's
I
true.
thought was a little absurd. Love the trade compensation.
Yeah.
Like third and a fifth. I'm like,
Yeah.
I understand he's 31. I get it. But Antonio Brown doesn't get injured. Antonio Brown is still one of the elite receivers in this league, and he's still productive, So I think it's a nice move, and the contract isn't like a 6-year deal. It's still the current.
friendly.
It's still currently the 3-year deal that the Steelers had. They just upgraded the money in it. So you figure if he still stays in shape, like we all know he is, he's one of the hardest workers on and off the field. If he keeps continuing what he's doing, I think he could make it to 34. Or even if he doesn't, there's got to be an out after 2 years or something where the Raiders don't get, penalized that much. So we'll have to wait and see, obviously, to see the production on the field. We need to wait and see how good he's still going to be. Now he's with a completely different quarterback. He's with a different offensive system. I wonder how that's going to play into how productive he is.
Yeah, I mean, totally different type of coach, I think, too. You know what I'm saying? Behind Gruden. And what's most important about this pickup is that Derek Carr, which I don't think he had before, was somebody he can trust now that is going to catch the ball when he's there.
When you talk about trust, I think he trusted Jordy Nelson.
Yeah.
But Jordy Nelson, even though he had some speed, he didn't have the quickness like he used to. He couldn't really make those cuts like he used to. So it was okay, but after him, of course, there was nobody else there that you could really depend on.
And the Vontaze Burfict move, I know you weren't exactly happy about that,
Jesus.
but Yeah, and I'm not going to use the pun. I was going to say it was the perfect move. Yeah, I just said it. Yeah, whatever. But I think it was because I think he fits the mold of the Raiders. And when he doesn't make the bonehead mistakes, maybe he can limit them a little bit. He is
A Pro Bowl linebacker.
Pro Bowl linebacker, and just so many great moves, game-changing moves. I like it. Maybe behind Gruden and stuff like that, he can get
Tutelage.
Yeah, maybe they can finally
And-
get because the thing was he had Marvin Lewis, and Marvin Lewis that we've learned throughout that whole Bengals team never disciplined his players at all.
No.
There's a lot of bad dudes there, and he let them do whatever and just never made them accountable. I think Gruden will make him accountable, and this will be the right kind of thing and get the best out of Vontaze Burfict.
And don't forget, too, Paul Gunther. He gets to reunite with Paul Gunther, who, when Vontaze Burfict got drafted, Paul Gunther was there. He kind of Paul Gunther took him under his wing and said, hey, I'm going to teach you how to be a player. I'm going to teach you how to be a professional. I'm going to teach you this. So Vontaze Burfict kind of looks up to him like a father figure in almost a sense. He did have a rough bringing up, and I think he gravitates to Paul Gunther. So maybe it could work out. But, again, I am really worried about, one, can he stay healthy? Because he's been banged up the last few years. And two, can he not get in trouble?
Yeah.
Can he not do any stupid penalties on the field? Is he not going to spear somebody? You got to wonder. That's why, that's the only thing that I'm worried about is he going to be on the field come week 8? You know what I mean? So I think it's a good low key signing. If it works out, it's one of the best free agent moves, this year. But again, a lot of risk there with Vontaze Burfict, but low risk.
Yeah, taking a linebacker now from, a divisional opponent and Brandon Marshall, too, as well.
That's right.
Adding him.
Yep.
A move I like as well is Isaiah Crowell. Again, because last year you didn't see the, running the team that you thought you might. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
They couldn't get anybody really involved. We're going to see Jalen Richard. Is he going to be the guy? Not sure. And now you get Isaiah Crowell, which I think at times, and if you partner him up with somebody, he's more effective. Like you saw what he could do possibly with the Jets when he had that 1-2 punch with Bilal Powell. I mean, I like the upgrade here, I think, a little bit at running back.
Right. And here's the problem with the Jets is after they drafted Sam Darnold, and we saw him kind of the first throw he made in the beginning of his career ended up being a pick six. He kind of struggled because
How did the rest of that game show up, though?
no defense.
Yeah.
No defense is scared of Sam Darnold because he's a rookie. They're not going to give him the respect that he might have 5 years from now. So they are going to – every defense was playing up tight. They were making sure they stopped the run first and then make Sam Darnold beat them. And it worked to a T for them, so for the most part. Jets did have some good games, but – it didn't scare them. So that's why I think you didn't see as good of an Isaiah Crowell that you might have with maybe a more established quarterback back there. But he's another. I think it's a very nice signing. I was high on him when he left the Browns in free agency last year. I thought, hey, we have Marshawn Lynch, but man, it'd be nice to get him. But when the Jets signed him, I was like, wow, that's a really good signing. That's going to pay off big dividends for them.
Right.
And they obviously, when they cashed in on Bell, somebody had to go. So it happened to be Isaiah Crowell.
Yeah, definitely. And Trent Brown, a great pick here, too, for them. He showed what he could do last year in filling a gap, and I think that's what helped get him this extra deal here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what they need, too. Like, you've complained about the offensive line. What are they going to be able to do here? And I think that's an upgrade altogether. When you look at this, the picks, I mean, I could go through them all. I'm going to leave some space for you to do that.
Yeah.
But they filled needs with – not veteran presence, but
talent.
quality presence. Exactly. Yep. The talent that will do it, and it has been around enough that they can do it well,
Absolutely. And you bring up Trent Brown. Now, here's the thing is I wasn't so sure about this signing. I am definitely against how much they gave him.
Yeah.
They paid him. They
That's
paid
what
him.
I mean.
They made him the highest paid lineman.
Yeah.
Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? The guy had one real good successful season, and now you're like, oh, back up the Brinks truck, everybody. No, I don't
He's
think so. I'm not really sure if
now he goes by Super Bowl champion Trent Brilliant.
and I'm not really sure if that was needed. I think you could have got this guy for much less and still brought him to your team. I think the Raiders maybe saw an opportunity early on and said, you know what, let's blow them away and make sure we get him instead of try to fight with another team. I still think it was too much money. And the thing that I'm uncertain about is, can he reproduce what he did last year? I mean, I don't know. I did look up like how many sacks he gave up or whatever last season. I think it was like 3 or something like that. I could be wrong, but I thought it was like that. Mike Tackett, if you're out there, please.
There you go.
But it could be a great signing, but it also could backfire. You know, you made this guy the highest paid offensive lineman. You better be pretty damn sure that this guy can reproduce what he did.
You're hoping maybe that it was like how I felt about Nate Solder coming along with the Giants. They paid him a lot. I thought he was kind of the faltering point of the Patriots that season. Came through it and wasn't able to produce. So,
but here's the thing about Nate Solder is they paid him like a left tackle.
Yeah,
they should have paid him like a right tackle. I think he would have came to the Giants either way.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're him, you're going to take the highest.
Oh yeah,
bid.
absolutely. Why not?
So there's that. We touched on the, those 4 free agents right there. But then if we go down,
more.
A.J. McCarron leaves. What do? They replace him with another different type of vet quarterback, and Mike Glennon. So Mike Glennon, he had a stint in Chicago. He ends up becoming a free agent. They had him. I hope he doesn't ever see the field.
Yeah,
I'll just say that.
Yeah.
But moving on, you get a guy like Ryan Grant coming off an injury. And I thought he was a steal for the Colts. I thought he was going to benefit greatly for them last year, but he was just injured all season, so it never panned out. This is a low-key signing, not a lot of risk there, very limited amount of money. If he stays healthy, I think it could be another great signing. Jonathan Hankins, they re-signed from last year. He was out in free agency for like God knows how long. A run-stuffing D-tackle.
Right.
But he played well above expectations last year. So they ended up bringing him back. Dwayne Harris, I was crazy about this guy when he was with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
He's much older now. I'm not so crazy about him.
Yeah.
I don't
they
know.
got a safe bet with him here or whatever,
That right there, I'm like, who cares? Yeah, we bring Predator back. Why not?
Right.
After that, they sign another quarterback. And I think this is where competition comes into play. They bring Landry Jones in, and I think he's going to compete with Mike Glennon. I almost think that they're going to keep just 2 quarterbacks, but who knows?
But who knows?
If
Some of the mock drafts saying they're going for Kyler Murray, so you never know, right?
I don't think Kyler Murray is going to be anywhere close to the Raiders.
Yeah, exactly.
But you never know.
You never know. That's
Another
the good
big
thing about talking about it.
Yeah, another big signing that they had is LaMarcus Joyner, the young stud safety from the LA Rams. This is a position of need, but it's also a guy that's going to come in and start right away, along with Carl Joseph, who they just have. I will say they're not the Twin Towers. They are like the Twin Stubs because they are 2 short safeties, but they can get sideline to sideline very quickly. The only thing that I worry about is the deep ball. Because of their short stature, are they going to get beat with a lot of 50-50 balls? I don't know, but they both can bring the pain. They can both hit. They can cover. They can play the run.
Yeah, they can play the run.
They can do a lot of things, and they're interchangeable. They can also, pass defend.
Yep.
Tight ends, and switch off and on. So I think they're going to have a lot of fun with those 2. Nevin Lawson is probably the biggest, the one signing where I am absolutely head over heels in love with. And not a lot of people know about him, but Detroit Lions fans do. And this kid, even though he's 5'9", he's a really good cover corner. And I don't know if they're going to plan on using him in the slot, or he could potentially, I'm just saying, he could push for a starting job on the outside. Maybe not over Gary and Conley, but on the opposite side, don't be surprised. You brought up Brandon Marshall earlier. I think that's a nice low-key signing, and who knows? With the current young talent that they have and these implemented Vontaze Burfict at linebacker, Brandon Marshall at linebacker, I don't know who's going to start, but there's going to be a lot of competition at every position. They also brought in J.J. Nelson at wide receiver. So another receiver on top of that. Curtis Riley, who's kind of like a third-tier type of free agent, a guy who they're going to utilize once in a while as a rotational piece. And another wide receiver they signed, and probably the best wide receiver on the market for free agency is Tyrell Williams from the Chargers.
Yeah.
A guy who's very big in stature, tall, fast, can make all kinds of moves, catches almost everything. And I think he's a big upgrade than what they had. They didn't really have anything last year, but now you look at Antonio Brown, Tyrell Williams, all these other guys that are going to compete.
Yeah.
The only big weakness is Jared Cook leaving.
Yeah.
You know, tight end. So maybe draft, maybe looking
or
for
they
tight
could have
ends.
grabbed,
They got 3 first-round
Austin
picks.
Severian Jenkins, you know.
Exactly. That's what I was saying before.
Yeah.
But overall, as you can tell, we listed a lot of names, but most of them are high-quality players that can play for them, plug and play right now, and that's why they ended up making our number 1 spot.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a lot of moves there, and I think it'll just only improve their team going forward. And they have draft picks still, even too. I mean, this is
4 draft picks in the top 35.
Yeah.
That 3 of them are first-rounders.
Yep.
So
wow, I mean, that's what I mean. They're an intriguing team. They can trade back or whatever. And
I mean, I don't know
all
what they
kinds
plan
of
on
stuff.
doing. They could trade up.
Yeah.
If they really want somebody badly. I don't know.
It's crazy. So I mean, that's the interesting thing about the draft, and I think that's why it's getting bigger. You know what I mean? Everybody's excited about this now. They're moving to different cities. It's going to be Nashville this year.
Yep.
It would be great to go there and just go and check
would
it out.
be.
Oh, my goodness. What a good time.
What a dream that would be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've never been to Nashville, but Memphis, I've been to Memphis, and it's pretty cool. I like it down there. And, yeah, man, great. Oh, my goodness. So these type of things here with your teams, seeing what could potentially happen, it all goes through the draft. So
yeah,
it's
and all your
exciting. Come
know-it-alls
on.
out there, if you have any questions about your team for the upcoming draft, where do you think what position they're possibly going to pick, who they could pick in the first round possibly, anything at all, just go ahead and comment below.
Hey,
and,
you can
and
give
let
us your
know.
first round mock if you want to. I don't care. Post it up here. Why not? I'll check it out. We're all about it. I talk this stuff all the time with everybody. And
I'll tell you right now.
it's a lot.
They-
Just don't
they're-
talk fantasy with me right now. I can't believe people are talking fantasy football right now. Why? Why?
They're anxious, man. They're
You don't
anxious.
even know who's on the team yet. Unbelievable.
It's the same reason why they start their seasons really early in their draft. They're like, oh, let's start it in the beginning of August.
Concentrate on your fantasy baseball team right now or whatever you're doing. Jeez. All right. Enough with the fantasy talk right now. There's time. Okay, but that's gonna be it for our show tonight. We're gonna.
It is, man. That just felt like it went
just
by
like that. It
real
goes
quick.
by fast, But we wanted to start up with YouTube tonight, but we have just some technical
Fail.
issues. But also, I didn't realize we had to try and boost up our bandwidth here to try and get things going, and we want to be able to start YouTube with a great experience and give you the best quality that we possibly can. But we were able to get on Facebook Live here tonight, and we had some people chime in. We enjoy everybody coming here and spending time with us. I hope you guys enjoyed our show back. We are back.
We're
And
back, everybody.
Football's back, and we're bringing it to the house. And I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we will see you guys next week.
From until 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.